I think staying focused on value, providing a clear direction, but also providing the ability to go and do stuff and develop stuff is extremely important. And don't be afraid to get help from people like us or other partners or colleagues or people that you know, because you can't know everything and you can't know everything about tech or new tech. But there are people who does that for a living, so make use of them.
Hello, I'm Daniel Sjöström, a partner in Heidrick & Struggle's Stockholm office and a member of the Global Technology and Services practice. In today's podcast, I'm excited to speak to Samuel Skott, CEO of tech consulting firm HiQ. Before HiQ, Samuel held several leading positions, including CEO of Tele2 Sweden and Chief Commercial Officer responsible for the integration between Tele2 and Comhem. Samuel, welcome and thank you for taking the time to speak with us today.
Thank you, Daniel.
Tele2 was a part of the Kinnevik family. Kinnevik had a great history of bringing in young trainees and bringing them up very quickly into leadership roles. What was your journey at Tele2 like?
I joined as a trainee 2005 and then spent 15 years with the company. I think a great culture which was very results driven, but also a culture of no prestige and providing people with a lot of mandate. So if you had the will and the ability, you were definitely able to grow within the company. I got thrown at the deep end plenty of times. I managed to swim. I got a lot of great support from a lot of great people and great leaders and grew within the company and spent 15 years there, 15 great years.
And your leadership spans companies with very different ownership models. So publicly traded, privately held, private equity backed. Can you share some of the unique challenges and opportunities you've encountered while transitioning between these ownership models? And how have you adapted your leadership approach?
As you said, Tele2 was part of the Kinnevik, you could say, in the sense that Kinnevik was a large shareholder and very clearly dominating shareholder at Tele2. So even though it was publicly listed, Kinnevik was a very active owner. So in a sense, you almost got a bit of that privately held working style there. But of course, there are clear differences. When you're publicly traded, you have a lot of external, even more external stakeholders, even more owners to care about. You have all the public information you need to provide, and of course, the quarterly financial reporting that you do. That affects the cadence, and it sometimes affects decision making as well. While in PE, you have a more direct communication with a single owner, and it's more an ongoing conversation in terms of how are we tracking, how are we trading, what do we need to adjust, how can we continuously accelerate. So I think that's one aspect of a difference. Another difference is with a PE owner, you have a more clear time frame set. So this is where we want to get to within 5 years, and that also creates a bit of a different type of working modus, because you have an even clearer target and an even clearer direction and time frame. A lot of people talk about with PE own you get higher ambition, and I think yes, you might have higher ambitions within PE, but you definitely have a higher pace, because there is so much things you want and need to do within this time frame. So it creates different dynamics with a much more direct communication, and it creates different dynamics with a higher pace, reaching these high ambitions. And of course, that affects me and the team and my leadership as well in terms of providing a clear direction. You can be even clearer, and also about building a team that thrives in an environment with a more direct communication style, direct decision making, and also in a way a clearer timeline and a clearer target.
So it's a slightly different team build within PE.
Yes, because I think different people are attracted by different things, and it's not. I don't like the generalistic saying everything in PE much more ambitious and publicly. I don't think that's it, but it's about this pace. It's about having to do more things in parallel, and it's about a bit more impatience, I would say. And you need to like that. You need to thrive in that environment, and not everyone does. And so yes, it's a bit of a change from a team build perspective.
Can you balance that pace and sort of we're going to create value in 5 years' time with a longer term vision?
I think you definitely can, because for me, all long-term visions has to be value creative. Otherwise, I don't see the point of the long-term vision. With that said, though, you have plenty of stakeholders. Not everyone is attracted to exactly the same part of that long-term vision. I mean, not all of our consultants is attracted by the exact financial outcome that we're striving towards, They're more attracted by the culture, the projects we do, the ability for personal development. You always need to have all these aspects as part of your long-term vision, because at the end, what we're trying to do is to build a fantastic company, and a fantastic company that yields, great results, has to have super happy customers that care about the quality of what we do and the projects, and fantastic people that thrives in these projects and are together building a great culture. So yes, you can absolutely combine this ownership model and this direction with a very well functioning long-term vision.
We said that the team build was slightly different. I mean, Kinnevik is known for focusing a lot on talent, actually. But is there something that you've changed in terms of how you develop people or think about talent under this new ownership model?
Yes and no. Yes, in terms of it is a bit of a difference coming back to the pace, the target setting, and the more direct style. So that's more, what suits different types of persons. No, in a sense that it's not peer driven, but in general, by being more experienced and learning, I think I'm a better leader, better team builder today than I was 5-10 years ago. And for me, that is a bit actually on diversity, building more diverse teams, both in terms of seniority, backgrounds, experiences, things like that. 10 years ago, being brought up in an organization that was very much actually fostering talent. If you have energy, we can help you with the rest. So I think in the beginning, I tended to build teams that was highly energetic, but maybe a bit inexperienced, and then you need to make up for that through just hard work. Today, I try to strike a little bit of a better balance also in a smart way so that you get more efficient and also more successful.
Okay, so switching gears into something that everyone's talking about, AI.
Yep.
And you work with your customers all the time on this topic. I think both in terms of what you do internally and with your clients and customers, you sort of operate at the intersection of technology and innovation. What does it mean to lead to you in an AI-enabled world? And how is AI shaping your leadership priorities?
Well, I think first of all, with AI, and not only AI, everything is becoming much more data and software driven. And I think that is something we as leaders have to acknowledge. It doesn't really matter if I'm working in a already software centered business. That's what we do. That's how we build our products. Also in traditional industries, software is becoming more and more important. Data is becoming important. And of course, AI is a very powerful tool to drive value and efficiency going forward. So I think there are a couple of things that are important. One, you need to use it yourself. Everything cannot be delegated. You have to experiment yourself and actually work with it in order to get some understanding yourself and have it at your fingertips. I think that's extremely important. And also, as I said, it needs to be on the leadership agenda. You cannot delegate AI. I mean, you can delegate a lot of things within AI, but the direction and creating the foundation, that cannot be delegated. You as a leader, I as a leader, have to take that responsibility. But I think with that said, there are a couple of things that we focus a lot on. One is, of course, enabling the tools, providing the policies so that everyone feels secure. What can I do? What can I not do? How do I think about safety, data protection, etc.? So that is clear so that everyone can start experimenting. And I think that's the next step, building a culture that fosters experimenting, collaboration between business and tech, while having value in front of your eyes. And because I think that's a very important thing. And sometimes when people talk about digital transformation as well, I mean, sometimes, unfortunately, you see projects where you don't really understand the value of it. I mean, it's driving a lot of digitalization, but you don't truly understand why. It's digitalization for digitalization's sake. That's not interesting. You need to have business value or people value, whatever you're driving towards, in the forefront. So you need to get your hands dirty. You need to create the fundamentals for your organization to get working on it. You need to provide a direction and make sure everyone has the value in front of their eyes, because then you can delegate, then you can create energy, then you can unleash people to get going.
And in this new world then, where technology can do a lot of the stuff that humans have been doing, I mean, this has happened before, technology has taken over, but still it's an accelerating pace. So what skills and mindsets do you believe leaders will need to thrive in this AI-driven world?
You still need to have a clear direction, right? You still want to know in general, where do we want to go with this? Where are the areas where we see the biggest potential? You need to provide the tools and the policies to create a playing field so that you can get going. But otherwise, it is about fostering this experimental, collaborative culture, making sure that people feel safe to try and actually do it, and that people collaborate between business and technology, between different areas of technology, etc., so that you get going, because I think that's the most important thing. But you need to get going with the direction, you need to get going with policies and tools in place, and you need to get going with business value prioritized, and those projects yielding the most value done first. In the end, that's how you get a business case. That's how you get a positive momentum. That is how you get, everyone behind wanting to do more.
And the organizational changes needed when you implement these efficiency, these new tools, does that go hand in hand? Is that now more and more part of your consultancy as well? Do your clients have to change their organizations maybe to take advantage of these technologies?
Most definitely. I think I see more and more projects where we start out as pure tech consultants, producing code, providing tools, systems, building solutions as a starting point, actually going into, okay, but how do we do this? How can we do that with AI as an accelerator? How can we do it more efficiently? How can we do it with higher quality? And there, of course, once again, you get to the questions on tools and processes, but also people. I mean, AI is a people topic. AI is created by people. AI is steered by people. So, of course, it's a huge tech thing, but it's also a big people thing. We're seeing ourselves helping out in that area as well, more and more.
So going back to your early career and into your new one, but with a different angle. Yeah. So from telco to tech, telco 20 years ago was tech in a way, and tech has become more and more software.
Yeah.
What leadership lessons have you learned through this shift from telco and from 20 years ago till today?
A couple of things. I think one, an understanding of what it is to run a business which is truly critical. When I started in telco, it was already very important to people and businesses. Now it's completely fundamental. It cannot fail, it cannot go wrong, you need redundancy, so being able to take that responsibility without losing innovation and flexibility. So on the one hand, being very rigid, long-term planning, making sure you have the fundamentals in place. But on the other hand, also having that flexibility of sense of urgency that when things go wrong, we find creative solutions to problems, etc. So I think leading in that environment and with that kind of pressure and expectation is, of course, one big learning.
Yeah.
Another learning is today these companies are my customers. So I think that is, a learning as a provider and as a partner to these customers. A lot of our customers, they're big companies. They have a huge need to innovate, to stay in forefront of technology, but they also have a lot of legacy. They have a huge need of optimizations and getting efficiency gains. seen and led that firsthand, I think is an important knowledge and an important learning that I bring with me in my work today. It isn't just getting that new system in there in one end and that will rule everything. The world for large customers, large corporations are much more complex. And we have to challenge that, but we also have to have respect for that. And I think that is something I learned. Otherwise, from a more pure, organizational people leadership, I don't know if it's a telco learning. I think it's more, a Kinnevik Tele2 learning, having kind of grown up as a leader in that environment where values and culture were everything, driving the business, and where those values came from the necessity of the business. So the value of being cost efficient came from the pure fact that in the early days of building that company, we didn't have enough money. So we had to be cost efficient. We had to be flexible in order to be customer oriented and things like that. So I think that is one big learning. And another is, of course, as we talked about in the beginning, the ability to attract talent, but also to foster talent and to grow people.
You talked about innovating and transforming your customers and clients. You're living this digital transformation. It's been a buzzword now for a decade.
Yeah.
What does this actually mean? What does successful digital transformation look like?
For me, in essence, it's about utilizing the power of technology, digital tools, software development to create value and impact. And that value can be business value, generating more revenues or lowering cost. It can also be a societal value, being able to do the things with your tax authority much more efficiently and digital and more transparent. Or it could be people value, just being able to have more fun or being able to consume video or music or things in a better way. That, for me, is digital transformation in its positive essence.
With AI, other emerging technologies driving digital transformation, how do you balance experimentation with the need for consistent results?
It's about that focus on business value. As long as you have that, if you have a clear direction, if you know what you're doing is toward driving business value, you will also yield results. For us, of course, as a competence-driven organization, it's a bit of a luxury because this is what we do, right? We help our customers develop, and by doing that and also adding in perspective, we continuously develop ourselves. So for us, on-the-job development is 100% true, and then of course we add other things as well on top of that to really stay in the forefront. But for us, it's the key part of our business, and it's why we exist. So for us, it's ingrained in the business and in the culture, in the way we work. Yeah. But for companies who doesn't have that as a profound part of the business model, I think staying focused on value, providing a clear direction, but also providing the ability to go and do stuff and develop stuff is extremely important. And don't be afraid to get help from people like us or other partners or colleagues or people that you know, because you can't know everything and you can't know everything about tech or new tech. But there are people who does that for a living, so make use of them.
So AI is sometimes seen as this double-edged sword, bringing opportunities and in some cases ethical challenges and also other challenges, redundancies. How do you approach these dynamics as a leader?
First of all, by acknowledging that these aspects are true, right, and that you have to work with them. I think in Europe we're helped by regulations. We have the data protection regulation and things like that. So from a data perspective, we are already very advanced in that. I do, however, want to raise the risk of getting too focused on risk, because it is. The risk comes with us people. It's us building it, so it's going to be what we build, right? And I think it's a bit foolish to think that just by regulating AI, you can regulate the world or save the world or whatever. But I think, of course, you have to be mindful and you have to always have a critical thinking. You have to work with data protection. You need to work with security and safety. You need to work with and be aware of risks like hallucination from AI models, from biases. So that you have to install into your organization and into your projects. But then you also need to drive an experimental culture and a forward-leaning culture and look for the opportunities, because the opportunities are huge. So getting the basics in place, know what you do, have a critical thinking to allow you to focus on opportunities.
Finally, as you look to the future, what excites you most about leading in the tech space, and what keeps you inspired as a leader?
Well, then it is this combination of tech and people. Tech and what we can do with tech to provide business value, better companies, better societies, more fun for people. That excites me a lot. Just coming into HiQ, being here now for 3 years and seeing all of the fantastic things we do together with our customers to drive the world forward, if you will, or actually being able to make the world a better place, that excites me. And
do you have an example, like this, something that surprised you, or an innovative new use of tech?
No, but I think not in general. I have to be honest that what surprised me is how many of these exciting projects we are in as a company, because being new into it, I think we were a bit maybe too humble in the strange way, didn't talk about it. But I think, it's everything from being in the forefront of autonomous driving and autonomous vehicles to much more efficient payment systems, to support systems for medtech, things like that. There's a lot of areas where we are involved. That gives me a lot of energy, actually, to see how using tech in the right way with the right focus truly can make a positive impact. But then coming back to the people, it is done by people. It's done by people with our customers. It's done by our consultants at our customers. That's the thing. It's still, tech is a people business. And the combination of tech that can make a change driven by people, that excites me enormously.
Fantastic. Samuel, thank you so much for talking to us today.
Thank you, Daniel. It was a pleasure.